What's up, guys? OldManTup coming at you today with our press conference for weeks 2 through 4. I apologize, we've fallen behind on this, but we're going to make it up today and get all these questions that you have asked for the past 3 weeks knocked out. So let's go to the press conference questions for week 2. Majin Infernape asks, MVP of the week, worst Pokemon of the week. MVP of the week, looked back over the stats, and we're going to give this one to, we're going to make it a two-parter. Frostlass, for coming up big turn 1 with that crit, which ultimately allowed it to take down 2 different Pokemon, which were huge threats to our main sweepers, being Excadrill and Mega Pidgeot, taking out Slowbro and Heliolisk in that order. Worst Pokemon of the week, I don't really want to say there was a worse one. I mean, Tangrowth coming and got one shot, but that was my fault. So, I mean, everyone coming in did a job. Tangrowth, I mean, for even though it did nothing else, burned a turn of sand, which allowed us to finish the game. So, Avery Brown asks, why you so sexy, Tup? LMFAO. Because I know it. Brad Anderson, Tup, do you feel you were a bit underprepared for Sandslash? Sandrush was fairly obvious, and there was no clear Mon who wanted to take hits from Sandslash this week. Also, can we expect any trades or free agency moves coming up from your squad? I felt I had prepped and prepared for Sandslash. It came in a situation which I wasn't anticipating. The problem with Sandslash is I didn't play around it right in week 2. I had Hippowdon in, who was my stop to it, and I switched out into something else, which was DUMB dumb. So I don't believe I was underprepared, I just believe I misplayed around it. Can we expect trades or free agency moves coming from your squad? Well, considering I've made none going into week 5, which is the week we are currently in, not particularly. Every Pokemon, I mean, at this point it hadn't happened, but every Pokemon has come and contributed to a match. So I'm really happy with the squad we have right now. Bronson plays. Was there a Mon that you were going to bring to the match against Battler X instead of a Mon that you brought to the match? This was pretty much a team I had in my mind from the start. Azelf almost got switched in last minute instead of Frostlass. I had thought about bringing in Licky Licky to be our special or our physical wall, but I was a little bit worried about Hariyama. Azelf was going to be brought in Sash just to make sure we could deal with Hariyama in the event that it set up the belly drum, which it did do. Plus its coverage is just insane against the team. So thank you, Bronson. Dark Armed 619, the area code of somewhere in California, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that Rey Mysterio's number? Dial up the 619. Yeah, I think that's San Diego. Are you nervous about your match with Geo next week? Do you have plans to deal with his big threats like Mega Absol and Entei? Or will this be a match that you're going to struggle and need to play aggressively and predict those threats to take them down? Well, we will answer this with the mindset we had before we went into the match, because that's when this was asked. Geo has a really good team matchup against our team. Geo has a really good team matchup against all teams. He has a fantastic team, and we're going to have to be playing on point in order to beat him. I believe just from a team versus team stand-up, we are behind the 8 ball from the get-go. So we'll have to wait and see what we can do to overcome those odds. Dylan Friendlich, which I believe is how you say friendly in German. Oh no, there would be U in there, there'd be freundlich. Okay, Tup, how do you feel to be beating Battler X? Was it expected as he is trash, or did you think you'd struggle? Before this, I had never beaten the Saucebucks organization, so I was a little bit nervous going into this because the Saucebucks organization always gives me crap about how we've only played once and he's beaten me, even though that I pretty much played fantastic compared to him last season. So, I mean, I wasn't so much nervous. He has big threats on his team, so, I mean, we had to prep for him just like we did anybody else. Lagadier says, did you expect to pull Chlorophyll Tangrowth off? Was Tangrowth being a bit ambitious trying to snatch some of Excadrill's glory? Had I had the opportunity to set it up, unfortunately, half the mons that I prepped for Chlorophyll Tangrowth to come in and just annihilate weren't brought, like Frostlass and Mega Pinsir, because I thought those would be two threats the rest of my team might have issues dealing with outside of that. But was it a bit ambitious? I mean, anytime you bring weather that you have to set up and then switch in a mon to abuse it, yes. It may have been a bit ambitious, and it just didn't fall into play with the way the battle went. That's just the way it goes. Okay, MPD guy. After the smack talk the Battler X has been giving you, is it satisfying to win? It's always satisfying to win. Or do you pity him going 0-2 after building up so much hype for the season? Well, I mean, the Saucebucks organization has a history of saying this is their best draft ever, and then having their worst season ever. Not trash talking the Saucebucks organization, but they are a hype machine that generally sometimes falls short of the hype, sometimes always. But I like Battler X, and I like Steve, and I like the Saucebucks organization. I hope they can turn it around. Sonic Expression, no, that's not what that says. Sonic Empoleon. What mega would you have gone for? What mega for if Mega Pidgeot was snaked? I would have had to reformat my team a little bit to get a little bit more speed control, but had that happened, I would have either gone with the Pokemon that I had in Division 2 of the PPL, which was Mega Charizard X, because that thing just runs through teams with a single setup, and or Mega Medicham. Those were the three I had on my radar. Mega Pidgeot, because it got dropped in tiers this season, I knew I could use the extra points to build a better team around it. So that was, as soon as it dropped, I was like, that's what we're going for. And that was the plan, and it lasted, and we picked it up, and I'm happy with it thus far. Teen Jesus, aka Cody. After a 3 KO game this week, do you feel that Excadrill could make an MVP run? It's very possible. Unfortunately, because I have the Sandrush core, every single team preps for it. So, if anything else, I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, you can agree with it or disagree with it however you like, I believe that the Sandrush core, being Excadrill, has going to have the strongest opposition and will have the hardest road to make the MVP run of any Pokemon in this format. Just my personal opinion. Because, granted, it is good on its own, but it is only fantastic in the sand. So, it is completely reliant on the weather. Unlike things like Mega Pinsir, who just come in, Mega Up, and aerialate the crap out of everything. And Mega Lopunny, which comes in, its ability is fantastic and broken, and just comes in and destroys everything in the format. So, there's my opinion on that. Now, Iron Flash Gaming, the awesome Squirtle, asks, news reports have been flaring that Geo allegedly called Redhead Bucktooth Old Man bad at Pokemon. Tup, will you toss him on his neck like my girlfriend tosses my salad? Wink for the innuendo there. No. For one, I am not technically a redhead, even though I do have strong Irish background in my history and my family, pretty much 49%, paired up with the 49% of German and then the 2% of everything else in Europe. In the event you wanted to know OldManTup's lineage, now you know. I really hope to beat Geo. I mean, we play him twice, so even in the event we don't beat him, we'll get another shot at him. And Geo's probably definitely going to be making a playoff run unless he really screws something up. So we might even get to play him 3 times this season, because I think we're going to go to the playoffs. He could go to the playoffs, and if we play, it could be in the conference championship. So, I mean, we get 3 cracks at him, and we're going to do our best to beat him. Do I think that Geo would ever smack talk in a negative manner? No, Geo's one of my closest friends in the GBA. He's one of the coolest dudes in the world. But we do plan to beat him. So those were all the questions asked on the press conference for week 2. Now we're going to jump to the most recent video which was after our Week 4 match. Excuse me, I'm a little hoarse last night. Went to the Pirates-Cardinals game, which was a fantastic game until the 12th inning when they got beat by 6 runs. Wow, that 6th spot was just fantastic for Cardinals fans. And they were there, and they were going crazy, and it made me sad. Let's hope our game with Cooper and the Utah Jasmine doesn't follow that, and we get beat after a long, drawn-out game. Because that would be a game. Long, drawn-out game. I tried to put game and match together, and that didn't work. So, Ace Trainer Leon would like to ask, since you have one of the best records in the league, kind of, I mean, we're 1 loss, so I guess so. Do you think this is your season to make the playoffs? Also, do you think your biggest threat this season, other than the Giantes? I'm going to have to check my schedule to get that question, but let's talk about, do we think it's our year to make the playoffs? And I do. I really think we can make a playoff push this year. We've got a really good team. I mean, we've got a strong division. So, I mean, if we make it, we're going to have to beat our division rivals. I mean, we've really got a tough schedule ahead. Our next 4 games. Okay, let's go 5 games. We play the Utah Jasmine, division rival. Then we have 3 out-of-division matches in a row. And here's how it goes. Philadelphia Scissors, which I believe is Chimpact. The Real Maril, which is Mega Mogwai. And then we have the San Diego Chimchargers, which is the GG guy. GG is MV. And if I'm not mistaken, he's still undefeated to this point. And he's just been building teams that has been ruining people's lives. And then after that, we have the Atlanta Haluchas. Or no, we have the Giantes, then the Haluchas. So we have a really strong patch of games ahead of us. And this is going to be make or break time for our run in the playoffs. We obviously have to beat Cooper. We're both going into this week's match with the exact same record and the exact same differential, if I'm not mistaken. So we are neck and neck for 2nd place in our division. So we really, I mean, even if it's not by much, we really need to win that match to set the pace for the rest of this season. What was the other question? Who do you think your biggest threat for the rest of the season is? I can't say there's a single biggest threat because the rest of our lineup is stacked. I think just about everyone we're playing the rest of the year has a winning record to this point. Unlike the beginning of our season, I'm not knocking on our early opponents, but our first 3 victories were against teams that all went 0-3, I believe, which was the Sharpedos, the Saucebucks, and the Newcastle United. So, which is why it's really important that we beat the Utah Jasmine. And I'm not saying this specifically to the power rankings guys, but I mean, they have a valid point when they bring it up. The only wins we have this season are against the teams were winless at the time. I mean, obviously the Sharpedos were because we were their first match, but I know they at least lost 2 in a row, if not 3. The Saucebucks, who are 0 what season is this? We're going into week 5, 0-4, I think. And then we have the Newcastle United, who I believe are also 0-4 going into week 5. So, I mean, if you go strictly off the records and not how the matches panned out, we played what could be considered the 3 weakest teams thus far. No disrespect to any of those guys. Like I said, strictly by record. And we need to come out, beat Cooper, division opponent, to prove that we have what it takes to win this division and win in the division. Then we gotta face Chimpact, who's one of the best competitive battlers, and we really need to come out and beat him. Then we've got Mega Mogwai, who's having a bounce back season. He's a little iffy. He's been getting hacked out a bit, so I mean, I know that's really frustrating. So he's gonna be coming into our match with him really wanting a win hungry too, and he's gonna wanna get his season back on track. So I mean, there's no turning your back when the Real Maril around. You got to be careful. And then we got the San Diego Chimchargers, probably the best team in the league right now. So just because of how well they're playing and how well they're beating everybody, I'm going to say the Chimchargers are the match. If I could pick a match that if I win, I will be happy with the rest of the season, it's going to be against GG, it's MV, in the San Diego Gym Chargers. So next question, who's the current MVP? Well, I have the team page pulled up and I'm looking at it, and it doesn't really tell the tale. I mean, we've got awesome things going on. I mean, Excadrill's been putting in work when it's been showing up to matches. Mega Pidgeot's been putting in work when it's shown up to matches. MVP so far, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and for the work it has been doing all season long, I'm going to throw it to Rotom H right now. Rotom H has made it to at least half the games thus far. Every game it's come in, it's had an impact. And even though it's not a huge sweep or anything like that, it sets the pace of our match. It's, I think I've had Bolt Turn on it every single week. It's been able to keep us in the driver's seat in some matches, some not. But that's who I'm going to go with. I mean, close seconds, every game I brought Tangrowth to, I've won. I mean, even though I got one shot against the Milwaukee Saucebox, but every other game it's coming in, it's done something. I mean, Excadrill has done good. I mean, Hippowdon has kind of just been what Hippowdon does, a big thing that's hard to take down that sets the sand. Tentacruel, the games I've brought it, has been really well and got the teams that I've played against to do good. Azelf is fantastic. Hasn't notched up a kill yet this season, though, which makes me sad. Heracross has come and had an impact every single game. I mean, all of our Pokemon that we've brought have come and do what we wanted them to do, so it's really hard to pick an MVP, only being 4 weeks into the season. Okay, so that was Avery Brown. Joshua Perkins says, very tough run of games coming up for the Piratas as we get into the mid-season. This man's looking ahead like we just did. What are you doing to make sure you prepare enough for the remainder of the season? Give it you all, and good luck moving forward, my man. Thank you very much. I'm not gonna lie, I dedicate the same amount of time every week to play, and that's usually 1 to 2 hours, maybe 3 if it's a serious matchup. I think Geo was the only team I've actually spent 3 hours prepping for. Between my work schedule, which has been 7 days most of the time, 10 to 12 hour days, and spending time with my family, as much as I love the GBA, I have to dedicate more time to my family a day than I do to the GBA. So I set aside X amount of time a week. What I usually do is I write down a list of the teams and my team, and what I'll do, I'll take them to work. I stand at my station all night and I prepare automotive parts. But I mean, I'm fairly stationary, so, and what I do is mind-numbing and dull, so I can look at the teams and I can get the gears working. So when I come home, I already have a game plan and a battle plan, and all I need to do is run the calcs to make sure the damage output's going to be good, or I can survive the hits that I need to hit based on what kind of Pokemon I'm building. And I can check some of the type matchups because the types in my brain don't always work when I'm at work. So that is what I do to prep, if that's kind of what that question meant. But we're definitely got a tough run of games, as we said. I mean, just the next 5 games. Utah Jasmine, who have a winning record, a 3-1 record just like us. Philadelphia Scizors don't know the record. Real Marill, I think, have broken even so far. But again, it's the Marill. Season 4 champion. Playoffs last season, so they're good. The Gym Chargers been running through people. The Giantes destroyed us 5-0. And then the Haluchas, who beat us very handily last season. So, I mean, we've got a bunch of good teams coming up. And, I mean, that's only finished off by the Saucebucks and the Jasmine. So, I mean, we've got a really tough road ahead. So we really need to buckle down and prove that we are in it to win it this season. Brad Anderson, looking at your roster, which Mons or Mons have you underutilized or plan to emphasize more going forward? Also, hats off for last week. It was clear Sam spent all week prepping for stand and got big surprise when you guys played. Sam is a very busy man. He's a professional, he's a doctor, and he's trying to find a job, his dream job right now. So he didn't have as much time to prep as I did, and it was very apparent with the team building, especially when he didn't check the abilities, especially on Licky Licky. No disrespect to him, because I love Sam, he's one of my favorite people. But I really knew, but his team was probably the team that I've played so far that stacked up the best against the Stand Rush score. He has Suicune, which I couldn't believe he didn't bring, because that thing just wrecks me. So it wasn't, hey, I think he's going to over prep for this, so I'm going to not bring it type of thing. But we actually talked to Sam after the match, and I was like, and I asked him, because I tried to bring things that would throw him off his game, and he told me that he guessed about half my team right and about half my team wrong. So, I mean, I guess it worked. So that was good. Anything that I've underutilized, I haven't gotten to use Azelf very much. Tentacruel hasn't come very often. And I have some really interesting sets planned for that. Liepard hasn't got to come very much, and Licky Licky hasn't got to come very much. Licky Licky and Liepard, I believe, only making one match so far. So I really want to get them in there more. Licky Licky is just a fantastic Pokemon that nobody seems to know about. And that's not talking about Sam, because I know Sam knew that it had Oblivious. It just didn't click when he taunted. But Licky Licky is one of those Pokemon that can be hugely bulky on either side. And it has some setup moves that are just bizarre. So, I mean, I'd really like to see that come to a few more matches and get some play. So that was Brett Anderson. Okay, Will the Most asks, why did you bring that scumbag Heracross set asking for crits? You should be more like Cooper, who never tries to hack his opponents and hates RNG. Smiley face winky JK. This is more of a joke comment, and I will answer that. The reason I brought that Heracross set, A, to try and bluff the Scarf, because Heracross needs it to outspeed a lot of the major things on his team, but B, even with the Stealth Rocks, some of the huge things on his team, Heracross needs still a little bit more in order to be able to KO, and the possibility of throwing that crit in there increases its chance of one-shotting a lot of the things on his team. And once I asked quite a few people, a lot of my PPL friends, which I had to do privately because Sam's also in that group, if the crit multipliers stacked, and they did, so yeah. And now currently our biggest fan, Donut, asks, I got a few questions for you this time. Out of all the coaches, which do you want to play in the finals? Wow. And that's a really interesting question. And I'm going to have to check the division matchups to see who I could even play in the finals. Let's go to the standings page. Okay, there's Chim Chargers, the Arcaniners, the Luxrays, the Pelipers, the Sharpedos, the Metapods, the Donphan, and the Red Sox. So those are the 8 teams that I could possibly play in the finals, because we have to play someone from the other conference in the finals. Who do I want to play? Super Blah is fantastic, but I have actually already beaten him in GBA format. There's John. We've played him twice in the GBA format. There's Monatui, who we got beat in the PPL by in his very last match. I'm gonna go with a team that I have never played in GBA format and will not play this season, which I guess only leaves 2 possible answers for this. And I'm gonna go with the San Francisco Arcaniners and George. Got a lot of respect for George. George is fantastic, and George is always consistent. And George always has that one weird set that really throws someone off their game. And I haven't played George, and I have specifically asked before season started if I could play George. So if we could pick someone from the opposite well, because that's who we'd have to play in the final, someone from the opposite conference, we're gonna go with George. If I could pick someone from the Johto conference to play, I would have to say I'm gonna go with Fizz and the Inland Holuchas. Even though we'll get to play them this season, we get to play everybody in our conference this season, between the Holuchas, the Marill, the Scissors, and the United, who are the teams who are in our conference we haven't already played. The Scissors are only 1 and 2. Why did I think they were doing a lot better than that? But again, it's early in the season. But yeah, if I had to pick someone, it would be Fizz, because Fizz is probably my oldest internet friend. Oldest not being age-wise, but having known him for the longest amount of time. So that'll be the answer to that. If I send some freak accident, you end up not winning the championship, who would you want to see win it instead? Oh, man. If I were to not win the championship, I would like to see Gio go. He's put together a fantastic team. He just missed the playoffs last season, which was kind of my fault because of my game with Dan. For those of you who don't know, it came down to the last game of the season. In Season 5, either Dan or Gio could have made it. All Dan had to do was get a 3-0 to make it in. If anything less, Gio went in. And we played after Gio's team did, so we knew that was going to be it. And Dan 3-0'd me, which wouldn't have happened had I switched out at the very end. So I don't want to say I feel bad about that, because Dan would end up winning the championship, which he deserved after the games he's played the past couple seasons. But I'd really like to see Gio go. Gio's just one of those fantastic guys who's just one of the nicest people in the world. He's a cool dude. He's very handsome for a man. And he's just fantastic, and I love Gio. He's one of my favorite guys. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is for you, Berkeley. I know you're watching. On a scale of 1 to 10, how versatile is Tangrowth? 9.5. End. How fun is it to annoy Berkeley? 11. End. Berkeley's another one of those people who's been my friend for a really long time. We did one episode of a podcast together, which kind of fell through after our schedules went to poop. But I like Berkeley. He's one of my favorite guys, and it's always fun to work with him. So it is very fun to annoy him. Isn't this fun for him? Okay, Brett Wisniewski. I'm sorry about that, Brett. Hi, Tup. Remember that you're beating Dan, and Dan got 5-0'd by GO2. I'm beating Dan. Will you make any free agent trades? Will you make any free agent or trades? And if so, who are you leaning towards giving away? My guess is Lipard or Licky Licky. I don't know, but good luck. I really don't want to get rid of Licky Licky unless I replace it with another cleric for my team. I wouldn't be opposed to figuring out something for Aromatisse, Lars. But I really don't plan on getting rid of anything right now. The team we have fits together and lets me bring different pieces every week, which can drastically change how my opponent has to play. And that was how I wanted to draft. We've got a Prankster User with Lipard, who has speed control with Thunder Wave. He can taunt, it can encore. It's got stab, sucker punch. It's got stab, knock off. It can U-turn. It's a good lead. Licky Licky, I'm not getting rid of Licky Licky unless by some miracle I get given exactly what I wanted and it works out. I was counting on Licky Licky lasting, and I was so happy I got it as my last pick because it's good. But at the present time, I don't really plan on trading anything. But thank you for the question. Scott Reed asks, how do you think you compare with the current leaders of each division? Well, let's go back to the standings, and we will do the top 2 from each division. Geo is the top of our division, and we are tied. We are exactly tied. No, we are. We are exactly tied with Cooper going into this week, being 3-1 with a positive 2 differential. So we are there. I don't want to say how I stack up against Cooper, because Cooper plays and always. I mean, I've played him once and he 6-0'd me. 6-0'd me my first game of the GBA ever. So I really want to win this match. But he's the only person in my league format history to 6-0 me. So I don't want to say I stack up well against him and then him just destroy me again. Okay, then we have in the gold division, also in the Johto Conference, the Atlanta Haluches and the Real Maril. I think we stack up well against either of those teams. The Atlanta Haluches obviously beat us last season, and the Real Maril beat us in Season 4, which I believe was a 3-0. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that was a very hacksy match. But probably would have won in the long run anyways, because he definitely played better than me and prepped better for me that match. The Atlanta Haluchas, I haven't looked at their team yet, but, I mean, Fizz has always been good. He's a good battler, and so is Miguel. So it's definitely going to be tough playing those two in the division. Then we're going to go to Johto Conference Blue Division. We've got San Francisco Arcaniners and the Tampa Bay Luxray, and they are both fantastic teams. And as I stated earlier, if I could pick to play anybody in the finals, said I made it, it would be George, because in my opinion, I haven't seen enough from MV yet to say that he's hands down the best, because it's still his first season, and we've only seen 4 matches so far? 3 matches? 4 matches? I don't know. 4 matches so far. We're going into week 5. That's it. We've only seen 4 matches so far, and granted, he's been fantastic. But it's only 4 games. So, again, no disrespect to him. He's playing good. He's one of the best competitive battlers, so I'm not taking anything away. I'm just saying I've seen George play more, so I have a more solid understanding of him. I'm going to say George is probably a little bit better than me. I'm not going to lie. Then we've got Monatui, who proved he was better than me in the PPL. Then we have the San Diego Chimchargers in the Red Division and the Boston Red Sox in the Kanto Conference Red Division. Nick is another one of those people who I've known forever on the internet, all the way back to the Pojo days. So, I mean, we've played and we always break even about 50-50 with our matches. I have beaten him in the format, and he hasn't beaten me, so And then there's GG, it's MV with Chimchargers on the top. Again, he's been playing fantastic, and the way he's been playing lights out now, he could probably beat me too. So that's how I feel I stack up right now with the division leaders. Jack Johnson says, has Excadrill paid off so far as your franchise pick? Yes, and I'm going to explain why. Going into this week, it had only had, what, like 3 kills? And that was all in the match against Steve, I think? So, why do I think Excadrill's paid off in spades so far? Because you have to prep for Excadrill, especially when you have the sand. So you're not just prepping for a mold breaker set if you don't have a sand setter on the team, and you even have to prep for manual weather when you're playing against Excadrill. And what that does is it opens up, and I think I said this last season, but it opens up opportunities for the other things on my team. Well, if you bring a really physically defensive team, Mega Pidgeot's going to come in and hurricane the crap out of everything. And it's really opened up doors for things like Tangrowth to come in and be able to notch up kills. It's opened up the door for Tentacruel, who's come in a couple weeks and be able to put in some work. I mean, Mega Pidgeot's been doing a good showing when it showed up, when it's needed to show up. And yeah, I mean, the threat of having it on the team is well worth making it my franchise pick. So yes. Dean Jesus, aka Cody, are you happy with how well you've been able to spread out offense on your team so far? Yes. That was the point of drafting a team with so many different offensively possible threats, is that we're not going to have someone who stands out as MVP. We're going to have the entire team getting kills every week. I mean, unless the late game sweep like Excadrill did that one week. And we want the stats to be evenly distributed through the team. We don't want a hero who we're going to bring every single week, which we've proven so far. We don't want to have to rely solely on one Pokemon to carry us. So we wanted a team to be able to come in, different Pokemon get kills, and not one person or one Pokemon just get all the attention. Also, in the first 4 weeks, do you have any member of the Pyretidus that you think could be considered a sleeper from the beginning of the year? Even though a lot of people said that they wanted to see what I could do with it, I'm going to go out and say Mega Pidgeot. Mega Pidgeot's come out and put work. Mega Pidgeot's come out and done it. I mean, for being a tier... crap, what tier? Was it tier 2 or tier... Did it fall all the way to tier 3? Yeah, it fell to a tier 3 Mega. And it's being considered as one of the best offensive threats. So, I mean, I got super value out of it. Got those extra 60 points, which I think allowed me to pick up Heracross when I wouldn't have been able to. Is Heracross tier 3? Heracross is tier 3. We wouldn't have been able to get it without those extra 60 points. We would have been, I don't want to say stuck, but we would have had to pick an additional tier 5 Mon. And you can't tell me that Heracross hasn't been more valuable than that Mon. So, what was the question again? If there was a sleeper, and I'm going to say just based off the tiering, a tier 3 Mega that's come in and put work and put teams on notice. Yeah. So, thank you, Cody. Sonic Espion. What mistakes do you think cost you in the game against Geo? Oh, geez. There was quite a few. I just played a little bit too passive against Geo. And unfortunately, I don't have that game right on my brain right now. I thought about this before I recorded. Where's the match at? What did he bring? Not bringing something that could deal a little bit better with Chestnut was obviously a problem. Letting Azelf go down, clearly a problem. And we just let ourselves get too far behind. Put too much dedicating into getting rid of Cresselia, and that cost us, like I said, misplaying around Chestnut. So yeah, I'm going to say the biggest was letting Azelf go down to Entei's extreme speed, because there was no way he was clicking anything else in that. So that's why I believe was the biggest mistake there. Not that I think I would have won had I not made that mistake, but Azelf was the fastest thing on my team that wasn't scarfed. So yeah, and not having that speed really cost me in the end. It really did. Plus I would have been able to deal with Chestnut. Not going to say that again. Okay, Jack Mountain says, do you think that you could add the spirit of Blackbeard to matches and give your team an extra fighting edge? Little known fact, there was a Disney movie, and don't hate me because I'm mentioning Disney, because this was a family-friendly movie, but it was good for adults as well, because I still watch it. A movie, it was made in like the 70s-ish time frame, so it's a really old school movie called Blackbeard's Ghost. And it's one of the funniest movies ever. And if I could add some of that limbo magic, as we'll call it, to that, I would love it. And we may need some of that fighting spirit as we go against Cooper. So let's see if we can get a little Blackbeard injection. And now, one of my favorite people, Trogaholic, says, Tup, how do you win so much when you work as much as you do both at your job and family stuff? Are you just that good? Inside the bracket thing. Seriously asking, even working part-time and college part-time, I barely manage my time well enough to commend you. I very manage my time well enough to comment on all your videos. I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of people in the GBA struggle with this also. Building a successful schedule. And it's just something that comes with experience and something that comes with you wanting to do it. But you have to compartmentalize your time. You have to make sure that you're, obviously, as I've stated before, working 10, 12-hour days, 7 days a week sometimes. It's important that you set aside certain times for everything to happen. And that's what I do. It's just, you have to make yourself schedule and you have to stick to it. Some of the easiest things to do is procrastinate. And then when you do that, you don't give yourself enough time to do what you want to do. You have to set a schedule and make it. When I go to work every night, when I'm either team building or just doing there, I always have a pad of paper sitting down. And things I'll do, start making my schedule for the day when I get off of work. Normally it's, well, now that school's out, it's not so much, but take my oldest daughter to school, my youngest daughter to preschool, and or the babysitter. Excuse me, whichever it happens to be that day. Make sure my wife gets to work safely. And then either, I usually try to set aside an hour every day when no one else is here, so it's not taken away from their time, to either do something for YouTube or prep for the GBA. Or that's just my gamer time, which has been a lot more of that now that I've been playing Overwatch and Rocket League again. So, but it's just, like I said, when I'm at work, I write down all the things I have to do during the day, and I prioritize them. So, and then when I get home, I slap that list down on the desk because that's where I see it the most, or I'll magnet it on the fridge, and I'll just start checking through things as I go. And a lot of the things I can do in tandem, like I can get a video made, edited, and while it's rendering / uploading, I go to do the dishes, I go do a load of laundry, I can go clean the yard, go mow, go do something like that. So it's just learning to fit all of your, and I'm going to call this hobby, and please don't hate me for calling it hobby, but for me, YouTube is a hobby. I don't make bank off of it. I don't expect to make money off of it. I get like 25 cents a month, and I don't care. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I enjoy it. So for me, this is a hobby. I know it's not for everybody else, because I know some people it's their livelihood, like A Drive. And I respect him for being able to... A Drive, if you want to see someone who is a master of a schedule, go to A Drive and ask him, because he streams every day. He puts up YouTube videos every day. And he has it set from like his 9 to what would be a 9 to 5 job time, and then he does it, and that's it. Every now and then he brings, might run over or does it later in the evening, but he does it. So I mean, it's not impossible to do. I mean, granted, that's his job, so that's what he does, but I mean, he has a master schedule, plus he's getting married. I think it's like his bachelor party coming up this week, so that man can compartmentalize his life and do things that he needs to do, which is why I bring him up as an example. Am I just that good? No, definitely not. We've gotten some good matchups this season. We've gotten a little bit lucky this season. It would be a lie if I said that it wasn't. I mean, you watch my first couple matches, and something goes my way every single match. Played Tom. Tom missed... What did Tom miss? Did he miss a Stone Edge with Mammoth Swine? Or something like that? He missed something, I hit something. Win. You watch the match against the Saucebucks organization. Crit. Turn 1. Which takes care of Slobo. Which was his major answer, outside of Golbat being an answer, to Excadrill sweeping his team. Which happened. And then you go with Sam. What did he miss? He missed something. He missed something big too. Oh, got paralyzed with Mew after he set up a nasty plot, which allowed me to take it out. So, I mean, I guess the old adage is it's better to be lucky than good. And with the matches we have coming up, I'm really hoping that holds true, because we're going to need to be both. Really, we're going to need to be both. But yeah. But thank you for that comment. It means a lot. Especially Mr. Trogaholic. Alright guys, this has been this video, and we've gone way too long. How long have we been talking now? Oh, it doesn't say. Way too long. But anyways, guys, oh yeah, 45 minutes. This is going to be a heck of a long video. I hope you're all... If you're still here at the end, I want to see in the comment section, what do you think will be the team MVP versus Cooper and the Utah Jasmine? Get on it. Alright guys, this has been OldManTup, and we will catch you on the flip side. Thank you if you are still watching. Peace.